Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 7, Episode 20, Beautiful Liar. So we open up the episode exactly where we left off last week with Gary announcing that him and Andy are getting married. Everybody's in disbelief, and he said he wanted to officially invite everyone except the hood duo, which he named to be Fatima and Zach. Zach does this whole slow motion, hold me back rich type launch, and I'm like, Zach, first of all, Gary should have already been on his behind on site. He holds a large sum of your money that you can't even get back, and he continues to disrespect your fiancé. But I get it. You don't want to go to jail. Okay, cool. And truth be told, I don't even think a proper beat down would even faze Gary. He would get up and laugh in their face. But Danny, she's tired of all the shenanigans. She wants to know, look, is this true? Are you back with this man / trash? And Andy is like, yes, it is true. We are engaged to be married. This is something serious, and I just want you guys to respect my decision. So Gary was like, you heard what she said. Respect it, because I'm not going anywhere. And as a matter of fact, none of you are invited to my wedding. So Zach, he steps to Gary again and tells him that he needs to leave because he's trying not to go to jail. So Gary was like, whoa, 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 slow down there, G-Unit. I'm like, see, this fool is crazy. Now he's telling Zach there's no need to get physical. So Zach is still telling him he has to go, and Gary was like, or what? And then here comes Rich being extra lame, talking about, oh, we'll take turns beating your behind, and I'll let Zach go first because it's his baby shower. I'm like, Rich, please, don't say nothing. Just don't say nothing. So Andy, she finally tries to convince Gary to leave by asking him, can she call him later? So he sits there contemplating like, should I continue to play in these fools' faces or not? So he tells Andy he'll go ahead and leave because he don't want to be around this mess, and let him know when these wild banshees leave their penthouse. So he looks back at Karen and he says, congratulations are in order for you and your two menses. And he was like, oh, it is just two, right? I'm like, the shade of it all. He proceeds to grab his champagne bottle out of Maurice's hands and tell them he has to take that back because they have been so rude, and he tells them to have a terrible day. So now that Gary is gone, the spotlight is solely on Andy, and the girls have her surrounded in her bedroom, and they want her to make it make sense and tell them what the hell is going on. What is up? Andy pretty much stands on business and doubles down on what she says and tells them that the two of them are in a relationship whether they like it or not. And then she tries to apologize on the behalf of Gary, and all the ladies tell her it's not her fault. And Sabrina wants to know, was she cheating on Jordan this entire time with Gary? And she sits there and lies and says that she was. And Karen and Fatima basically told her to her face they didn't believe her. So outside of the door, Maurice is there listening, trying to get all the tea. Zach and Rich on the sofa like, tell us what you hear. So he was like, let me find out y'all gossiping more than me. So Maurice starts telling them his version of the story, which was quite embellished because I didn't hear any of that. Zach said he thought Andy was a lot smarter. Rich was saying she would have been better off with Jordan and wondered, was her standards that low? And what did she actually see in Gary? And Maurice had to tell him it's the Peter. So all the ladies come out of the bedroom with the exception of Fatima. They pretty much confirm with the fellas that Andy and Gary are indeed engaged. We go back inside Andy's bedroom, and she comes out of the bathroom thinking that all the ladies are gone, but no ma'am. She's startled because Fatima is sitting there and she's wondering what she's still doing there, and Fatima's looking at her like, look, I may have been born that night, but it wasn't last night. That's not what she said, but that's pretty much what she was given, and she told her she wasn't leaving until she got some answers. Now, I feel like prior to the 2-week jump, Andy was in the office clearly distraught, crying her eyes out, and she literally told Fatima Gary was trying to ruin her life. That should be part of this dialogue here. Fatima should be saying, we never got a chance to discuss it because we kept getting interrupted. Is this what you were talking about? What is going on? But anyway, so basically she tells her, look, I know you. We've been through a lot when it comes to Gary. Just talk to me. So Andy confesses everything. She says Gary gave her an ultimatum to marry him, otherwise he was going to ruin Jordan's life or unalive him. She also mentioned that Gary was in deep with the cartel, and he gave Jordan $100,000 of their money that she told Jordan not to take in the first place, but now she's feeling stuck and doesn't know what to do. So Andy, she starts boohoo crying, and being the friend that Fatima is, she just consoles her. So we head over there to Jordan's house, and apparently after Tony and Rich left, Jordan got his mind right, went and took a bath and cleaned up or whatever, because now all of a sudden after 2 weeks we see Ethan. And they're trying to go over the campaign stuff, and Jordan, his mind is really not into it. So the next thing we know, Rich done drove on 2 wheels to get back over there to Jordan's house so he can give him the dirt on Andy and Gary. So he tells Jordan how Gary announced the marriage and Andy agreed to it and asked everybody to respect it, and Jordan could not believe what he was hearing. So Jordan says that Gary is a dangerous person, and if she likes psychopaths, why is she dating him? It was as if he was saying he was soft as cotton. So he calls Andy and she sends him straight to voicemail, and he feels like he needs to go see what's going on. He needs to go talk to her. Rich is trying to convince him, don't worry about it, leave her alone, let it go, it's not worth it. So we head over there to Zach and Fatima's, and I guess ask and you shall receive. I wanted to know where Michael and Miss Rose were, and here they are. So we see Zach coming home alone without Fatima, so we are going to assume that there was an off-camera conversation that he had with Fatima, and maybe she just told him to go ahead and go home. She was going to stay behind and talk to Andy so he can go and relieve Miss Rose from her babysitting duties. So Miss Rose tells Zach that he has an angel of a son. He's eaten all his food, he's had his bath, and he's ready for bed. And I'm going to have to add Miss Rose to the beautiful liar list. Aww. I'm sorry, Miss Rose, but when we look at Michael, he doesn't look like he's ready for bed. He has on tennis shoes and jeans. Like, where are his pajamas? And when we interviewed you, you said that you were a stickler for bedtime. So why is Michael ripping and running around playing at this time of the night? But anyway, it's good to see you, Miss Rose. So after she leaves, they have a father-son moment, and Zach tells Michael that he's going to have a sister on the way. Is he excited about it? And he shakes his head, and they play with the little dinosaurs and all. So Zach, he brings up Jeremiah in past tense and says that they didn't grow up together, which is not what we know to be true when you watch Zatima, but whatever. So he tells Michael that he's going to make sure that him and his sister are tight growing up, and hopefully they can have another little sibling, which basically is foreshadowing probably to introduce Fatima and her pregnancy. So we head over there to Sabrina's house, and she gets a knock on the door, and it's Rich. And one thing I could say about Sabrina, Rich does not have a key to her house, because every time he comes over there, he knocks and she gets up to open the door. Unlike Danny and Tony over on the other side, but whatever. So he comes in and they sit and talk about the whole Gary, Andy, Jordan situation, and then they get into their own business. She opens up and tells him the truth about finding a donor and says that it's Damani. So of course the conversation gets a little awkward and tense, and he says, oh, the guy from your job. So she's trying to explain, he doesn't actually work with me. And he says, well, does he like you? And she lies and says that he doesn't. She know damn well Damani likes her. So of course, Rich, he has 21 questions like he always does, and some are valid, but coming from Rich, they kind of fall on deaf ears because you wanted absolutely nothing to do with this process, so I don't know why you're so concerned. He wants to know if he's going to be in a child's life, this and that and the other. What it all boils down to is your ego. That's all it is. You know what Damani looks like. You know where he works. You could put a face with this particular donor, and you know he likes her. So riddle me this, Richie Rich, because I'm confused. If Sabrina goes out today or tomorrow and get an anonymous sperm donor, she gets pregnant, have the child, bring the child home from the hospital, what are your plans? What are you going to do? You are adamant about not having or wanting kids, so what difference does it make who the donor is when it comes to you? Are you going to officially break up with her once she has the child? I'm confused. So we head over there to Danny's house, and she's sitting on the sofa chilling when Tony comes in with his key, because, I guess he lives there. So he comes in calacky-lacking on the phone, and Danny asks him, did he find out what happened at the baby shower? Did Rich tell him? He was like, yeah, he just got off the phone with him, but he needs to go and rush and take this shower because he smells. And I'm like, well, where you coming from, Tony? Because you usually work in a 3-piece suit. Where's your jacket at? It's not like you were somewhere playing basketball because you don't have on gym clothes. So where did you go when you left the baby shower? But I guess it's neither here nor there because Danny didn't question it. He goes to take a shower, leaves his phone out there, and then the phone starts blowing up.
Excuse me, you have a phone call. If you want to answer right now, please do. Excuse me, you have a phone call. If you want to answer right now, please do.
So me and Danny were like, God damn, what's going on? What's the emergency? So Danny, she picks up the phone like trying to see what's going on. So when she sees that it's Tiffany, she's like, girl, these kids better be on fire. So as she's looking to see the things that Tiffany has sent, she's over there reminiscing on the love that she had with Tony and all the anniversary gifts he's given her in the past. So Tony, he comes out of the shower still wet. Danny sitting there calm, cool, and collected. She's like, remember when I brought to your attention that Tiffany still wanted you and her family back, and you made it seem like I was Stevie Wonder, like I didn't see what I was seeing, and tried to make me feel like I was just being jealous and insecure? Well, does this picture of her and her weak-ass titties prove my point or not? So Tony's first reaction is, why are you going through my stuff? She was like, I really wasn't going through it. Your phone was blowing up. I thought it was an emergency. Did you not want me to answer it? Tony was like, no, I don't. Like, don't go through my stuff. Like, nobody really wants people searching through their stuff. But she constantly says she was not really searching through it. She just happened to answer it. And that's when she ran across the Tiffany stuff. And the real question is, why is Tiffany sending you pictures of her slightly nude? So Tony, he says he doesn't know why Tiffany is doing it. And he's really upset. He is heated. He is more mad at the fact that Danny looked at his phone. So he's telling her, look, I've told you like 100 times, I want to be with you. I'm here with you. And you keep doing this. Now, we don't know how long Tiffany has been back in town from Germany, but we haven't seen Danny on camera constantly talking about Tiffany. There have been certain instances Tiffany came to Danny's house when she should have never done that in the first place. That was a no-no off top. She should have never addressed Danny. And then she comes over there and basically tells Danny to her face she wants her man back, and that's going to be her main mission. But Tony don't see anything wrong with that. So he pulls the oldest trick in the book. He gonna try and beat her mad. Now, I'm sick and tired of this. So Danny was like, look, my issue is the fact that you're not checking her. He's like, I check her all the time. You have no idea. Now, why is it all of a sudden when Tiffany comes back from Germany, now we're having all these issues with her wanting you back all of a sudden? Did you sleep with Tiffany the night after the family dinner? That's the question. So Danny was like, well, since you always checking her, text her and check her right now. I just got out the shower. Can I dry my ass? So he started gathering up his clothes, and Danny was like, well, where you going? He said, I'm going to F home because I'm not going to be dealing with this. Baby, when I tell you I would have been so through with Tony, he wouldn't even known what hit him. My locks would have been changed. Baby, you would have been blocked. You would not have even had to worry about me again. I'm the one that doesn't have time for the BS. So she was like, that's my towel. He was like, you know what? Take it. Threw the towel on her and left butt naked. Now, one thing I notice about Tony, he low-key has anger issues, but he normally takes it out on Danny. We see that he's quick to blow up and chastise her like she's a goddamn child, but won't say nothing to his own kids, and then he tiptoes around Tiffany like he's scared of her. I know one thing, next week, Danny better not be at that airport chasing Tony around trying to apologize just because she touched his phone. Now, if Tony is not willing to have an adult conversation and willing to set boundaries when it comes to Tiffany to save his relationship, then there's nothing to talk about. And he better not tell her, meet me in my office or one of the little rooms he got many keys to so they can go have sex, because I'm sick of it. So in the next scene, we see Gary and Andy meeting up with Madison, the wedding planner. And she's going on, and she says that this is going to be the wedding of the century and tells Andy that she picked a good one. And I'm trying to figure out who's getting ready to pay for this wedding. So after Madison walks out, Gary drops his smile, and now the evil personality takes over, and he tells Andy to fix her face because nobody gives a damn how she feels. So Andy, she's asking, can she leave, asking for permission like she's being held hostage for real. And he's like, well, drop them panties. She lies and says that, my period came on. It's going to get messy. He didn't give a damn. He was like, drop them anyway because I want to smell you throughout the day. So she wasn't moving fast enough for him. So he yells at her like, take them off. She finally gets them off and throws them in his chest, and she storms out the door, leaving him standing there smelling the panties, talking about, I'll see you later. So we get over there to the bank and Maurice is getting there late apparently because Sabrina was trying to text him looking for him. And he gets there and instead of him going to work, he wants to talk about the dirt and the gossip and find out what's going on with Andy and Gary. So of course he starts talking nasty like he always does. So she has to send him on to do some work when she gets a phone call from Damani, and he basically is telling her that he'll be late to work because he just had his doctor's appointment and all his blood work is completed. So of course, Sabrina is happy to hear all of this, and she tells him that she's grateful that he's doing all of that for her. So we go over there to the salon and Karen is looking through her past due bills. So she calls Pam into the office and tells her about a particular credit card that she ordered to use for the salon only that Pam has used multiple times. So Pam was like, look, that was a long time ago. Karen tells her yes, but it still has a balance on it and now it's maxed out. So Pam claims that in her defense, she bought stuff for the salon and Karen had to let it be known, girl, you bought a pillow and a lamp. That's it and that's all. The rest of the stuff was for you. She told Karen she'll loan her the money back. Karen was like, loan, like you owe me money. And basically told her, look, you either cut me in or it's a wrap for the Rooster Richard stuff. Pam started talking noise, telling Karen she didn't believe into her Rooster Richards products in the first place and she's just going to keep her own little successful business. I'm like, Pam, you're going to have to be humbled. You're going to have to bring it down a notch because lately you're starting to feel yourself. She think everybody jealous of her and she just need to bring it on down. So she tells Karen that she'll pay her back in 8 months. And she basically walks off from Karen and I'm trying to figure out how she still has her job. Either you going to pay on the front end or the back end. Like you going to give me my money, I'm going to take it out your check, or we going to go see Judge Judy. Like what you want to do. So we go over there to the law firm and Andy, she is just getting into work and hopefully she had a little whole bag in the trunk of her car and pulled out some underwear because this little pink handkerchief she got on with half her crotch hanging out is not working with no panties on, okay? So she goes in her office and she gets this phone call from Penelope and I can't understand for the life of me why is Penelope calling Andy every other day? If Penelope and the Alphabet Boys are not going to be involved in taking Gary down, why do we have them in the series? What is the point? But anyway, she wants to know why did Andy break up with her brother, and Andy wants to know how does she know that, and she had to tell her that she talked to Jordan and that he's taking it hard, and she wants to know did Gary have something to do with it? Andy didn't want to answer, so she just deduced from that he did have something to do with it. And Andy was like, look, I don't want to talk. I don't feel comfortable talking to you. And Penelope was like, well, your phones, they're not bugged. And me and Andy were both like, well, how do you know that? But Andy told her she had to get off the phone. And that's when Fatima was walking in the door. So Fatima asked Andy how she's doing. She says she's hurt, trapped, confused, pissed, all of those things. So Fatima says she's been trying to rack her brain trying to come up with a plan. But in my mind, it could all be so simple, but they rather make it hard. Make Gary that X factor, pun intended. So Andy tells Fatima there is no plan because in order to spare the people you love, you have to make horrific sacrifices. And if you're supposed to be testifying for the FBI, Andy, you should be able to go to them for protection. So there's no reason Gary should be able to hold you hostage or make all these idle threats. I would call his bluff. Because you have help. So the light bulb goes off for Fatima and she says not if he's not around. And she's talking about something a little more permanent than just leaving town. So we head over there to Hayden's office when Miss Marie comes in, basically fiending for the D. So she invites Hayden on a weekend getaway to her private island. So Hayden tells her he has to see if he can get away. And mind you, that's the exact same way he got Tamara because he offered to take her on a weekend getaway to Miami, but those two ended up in Vegas and came back married. So the next thing you know, Miss Marie is all over Hayden, rubbing and touching all over him, feeling all over his crouch. So then the camera pans to the lobby of the law firm and we see Tamara coming in. There's no secretary at the desk and there's a sign on it that says back in 5 minutes. So Tamara totally ignores it and she goes into the office anyway. So Tamara walks in talking about you dirty dog. So Hayden, he's trying to explain. Miss Marie over there talking about, oh, you just let your assistants walk in. She's like, I'm his girlfriend, you raggedy bee. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought you was his wife. What happened to that? Let's make it make sense now. Hayden is trying to plead his case, telling Tamara that it's not what she thinks. Miss Marie says it's exactly what you think, as she still has her hand on his Peter, and proceeded to tell Tamara how hard she got her man. So baby, they get to going back and forth. Tamara like, who is this senior citizen? And Miss Marie over there talking about, now I was going to give you an ugly look, but you already got one. You could tell Tamara wanted to laugh so bad during this scene, but she was trying to hold it together. So now Tamara done put two and two together and told him, oh, the gray pubic hair on your mouth makes sense now. Baby, Miss Marie started laughing and told her those weren't gray hairs. That's the glitter growing from my coochie. How did it taste? I said, oh my. Child, Hayden got these women fighting over him. Tamara taking her earrings off. Miss Marie taking her jacket off. And quiet as it's kept, I think Hayden was low-key loving it. The last straw for Tamara was when Miss Marie told her to go fix her teeth and told Hayden to train his dog. She told Hayden F him, and Miss Marie was over there chuckling, unfazed and unbothered, having the time of her life. So Hayden, he runs behind Tamara and chases her down the hallway, passing Andy and Fatima, and of course she has to get her little dig in, and he tells her to shut up. So Miss Marie, she comes out strutting her stuff, and Andy asks once again, like, I didn't know we had a meeting. Miss Marie was like, we don't, I just came to pick something up. So Andy asked her what's up with Hayden. They heard a bunch of loud talking and shouting or whatever, and she says, I don't know. And if it looks like I give a damn, please let me know so I don't give the wrong impression. So she tells Andy that her eyes look weary. Did Jordan break up with her? And she was like playing it off, talking about she didn't get any sleep. She was like, well, it's called concealer for a reason. Conceal all that drama you got going on. And she pretty much walks off, leaving Fatima and Andy standing there wondering what the hell was going on. So we go over there to Fuel, and Tony is in there acting like he lost his best friend. So Rich is like, what's up? What's going on? So he tells him that Tiffany sent the inappropriate picture and Danny saw it. So Rich says to him that he's surprised that he made it there in one piece, and Tony agreed. So Tony, he then fixes his lips to say Danny would have never seen a picture had she not been snooping through his phone. So Rich asks him the million-dollar question, why is Tiffany sending you pictures like that? And he says he doesn't know, but she's messing up what he has going on. But Tony, you're not trying to rectify the problem though. You're just so quick to call her jealous and insecure, but you're not trying to make her feel secure in the relationship. So they get on to Rich and his issues that he's having with Sabrina. So he tells Tony all about the fertility treatments and her getting the sperm from Damani. So Tony is confused because he wants to know how is he allowing Sabrina to have a baby by another man. And Tony couldn't understand, with all the positives that Sabrina has, why Rich wouldn't be willing to give her a child. So Rich tells him it all sounds good when he puts it in perspective like that, but he never pictured himself having kids, and he wants to be financially stable. Now, mind you, that's not what he told Sabrina when they had the conversation in the beginning. He said he had to take care of his 8 siblings, and he was pretty much done with that. So Tony tells him that he controls his own destiny. He asks him, does he love Sabrina? He says that he does love her. He thinks that she's the one, and he can't let her get away. She is his diamond in the rough, okay? Now, Rich, make sure you're doing this for the right reasons and not because you're trying to compete with Damani. There will be a whole lot of resentment if your heart isn't in it. So we go back over there to the law firm, and Andy can't stop thinking about these threats that Gary has made. And all of a sudden, Jordan, he barges into her office. She wants to know what he's doing there. He tells her, you know why I'm here. You broke up with me to marry Gary, and I deserve an explanation, and I'm not leaving here until I get one. And that's where the episode ends. Woo, child, it was a lot going on this episode. Gary is still off the chain. He still has to go, and it's just a matter of time. Miss Marie and Tamara getting into it was hilarious to me. What do you guys think about the Danny-Tony situation? Is she being insecure, or is Tony just refusing to set boundaries with Tiffany? This episode was written by Kourtney Richard. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it. Let's talk about it. As always, you guys, I appreciate all your support. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.